Well, good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to the EnOcean Alliance web seminar. My name is Graham Martin. I'm Chairman and CEO of the EnOcean Alliance, and I'm glad to have you all listening today. And I'm very pleased to announce we have a guest speaker or speakers this afternoon, founding members of the EnOcean Alliance from company ILLUMRA, Jan Finlinson and Robert Edman. I'm going to go briefly through some opportunities we see with our technology and some of the benefits for the users of the technology, and then say a few words about the EnOcean Alliance, and then pass over to Jan and Robert, who will give us some insight into practical examples of what you can do with the technology, products, solutions, and some case studies. If you have any questions or answers, any questions, please feel free to write them and we will take them after the presentation, or we will write answers individually. So first of all, the opportunity. Now, we need to make our buildings smarter. We need to make our buildings energy efficient. We need to make them healthier. And to do this, you need sensors. Sensors will tell you the status of your building, the temperature, the humidity, the air quality, window door status, occupancy status, etc. And to do this, you need sensors. And practically, that can be done the best with wireless sensors, and you don't have to pull cables everywhere. And the EnOcean standard has the advantage that it is also batteryless. The sensors are energy harvesting, and we are a multi-vendor interoperability standard, which means you have the possibility to mix between vendors. So this is a very huge opportunity. Billions of sensors today, this will be going to trillions of sensors in the future, and a large number of these will be batteryless and wireless. And this helps us to make our buildings more energy efficient, and it makes our buildings potentially more healthier and enables them for the new requirements in on-demand and sharing. There's a lot of work around the globe to go CO2 neutral, some continents like Europe by 2050, but all large companies have their own goals to go carbon neutral, and all of them will have to retrofit their buildings or build new buildings accordingly to achieve this. So this is a huge opportunity for all of us. Most governments around the world are pushing this in legislation, tax deductions, grant projects, and for example, New York has legislation. President Biden and the United States government is aiming to go carbon neutral by 2050. So again, this is a huge opportunity for us with a huge tailwind from governments, from big companies, etc. And basically what this means in a commercial opportunity is that we will have to upgrade all of our existing buildings to make them smart and healthy, and our new builds will be specified to be this way. And as I said earlier, to do this, you will need a building automation system, and ideally wireless and batteryless, and ideally an open international standard. Also in residential, smart homes, as they're called, are growing exponentially. A lot of modular homes are moving into smart homes, and also in a specific branch of that, what we call ambient assisted living, looking after old people. This is a very, very fast growing market because our populations are aging and we don't have the people to look after them all. So again, another huge opportunity for us and for our technology. Looking forward, partnerships are very important. Having open standard is very important. And we are working with various organizations. This is one of them. And I personally am a big fan of this one. This is Matter, which has the goal of making smart homes interoperable at IP level. That means you can have EnOcean transport layer, you can have wired, you can have Bluetooth, you can have Wi-Fi, and at IP level, they all come together so that it makes it easier for the user to install products into their smart home that interoperate with each other. Today, we have a very fragmented market. This needs to change, and Matter is one of the key initiatives in this field, and we're working together with them. So you have a huge interoperable ecosystem at the sensor level, and you have an interoperable ecosystem at IP level. And the benefits for the users, obviously we have savings in installation time and cost if you're not pulling wires, not opening walls. You save on installation time and costs, 30% in new builds and up to 80% in retrofit scenario. Something that's becoming very in focus and very important, especially after the COVID pandemic, is health and wellness. We are promoting healthy environments, good air quality, good lighting, good ventilation, etc. And this can help to make people 15% more productive and 15% less absent. Also in space optimization, especially now, a lot of people have been working from home. So a lot of offices are underutilized. This is a lot of space, a lot of cost that can be optimized either in giving up space or in making the space better. And you can save here 25 to 40%. And of course, the big one, energy and CO2 savings. In a commercial environment, easily 30%, in a residential, 10 to 30%. And in the case of EnOcean, sustainability, the sensors are maintenance free for decades. You never have to change a battery. You stick your light switch, your sensor, whatever it is, on the wall, on the desk, on the floor, on the ceiling, wherever you want, and it's maintenance free for decades. So this is what we've been promoting in the EnOcean Alliance since our foundation in 2008. We have now over 400 member companies around the globe supporting the standard, from component suppliers through to product suppliers, OEMs, system integrators, cloud providers, a huge ecosystem here. And as an alliance, what we do is we have created the technical specifications to enable this fast time to market, multi-vendor interoperability based on the open worldwide standard that we have created and is proven in more than 1 million building projects today. We provide a networking ecosystem of 400 companies plus external partners, and also within the EnOcean company, a lot of networking and activity. And we spend a lot of time and effort marketing and educating the people about all of these opportunities and about how the technology could be implemented to meet all of the advantages and benefits we've just covered. But enough of my high-level speak. I think it's very important that you see real products, real solutions, real case studies, real benefits, and that's why I'm very proud to welcome one of our founder members here today, company ILLUMRA, Jan and Richard. I'd like to pass over to them and ask them to give us some insight. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you, Graham. It's a pleasure to join this EnOcean Alliance webinar, and it's been an incredible ride. I'm thinking back to 2008 when the EnOcean Alliance was just getting started. We've been a member, we were one of the initial customers of EnOcean in the United States. We learned about the EnOcean technology in 2005. We understand that the company started around 2000, 2002 timeframe with the vision that wireless sensors would be the future. But at that time, there was no concept of any way to power those sensors except for via potentially batteries. And thinking of hundreds of thousands and millions of sensors and switches throughout buildings around the world that would have to require battery changes and so forth, and the environmental effect, plus just the maintenance expense and headache, and the knowledge that at some point every device was going to stop working just because it would lose energy, was a non-starter. And it was, I think, inside of the Siemens organization that they came up with the idea to have a battery-free sensor and be able to allow all this wireless communication to happen. And that visionary stance early on has allowed the development of the technology over time. It came to the United States in 2005, 2006. The history with ILLUMRA is that Hvac Electronics is a engineering company that learned about the EnOcean technology very early on when it was first coming to the United States, and in fact was tasked with being the first distributor. We were an exclusive distributor of the EnOcean technology when they first came to the United States for many years, and we've been a partner for a very long time. There's a lot of companies, a lot of opportunities that come from being part of the alliance. Can you bring up the next slide, please, Graham? So over time, another large benefit of the EnOcean Alliance itself is the opportunity to partner with other members of the Alliance and other technology providers. We've had the opportunity to work closely with Leviton, Signify, Philips, Kasambi is moving a lot. We've worked with GE. There's a lot of partnerships that happen. It's fantastic that not any one company is required to come up with all the pieces of the solution. We can work with other providers within the ecosystem to source different sensors, different gateways, and collaborate to bring together solutions that aren't possible for one company to do all by themselves. Can you bring up the next slide, please? So ILLUMRA offers a variety of services. We have got the breadth of experience on the lighting control side. We also have, just with the amount of time that we've been involved in the Alliance, we understand in depth about on the technical side, how the protocol works, how interoperability works, how to get different pieces to communicate together. There are some significant advantages that the EnOcean protocol brings to the table that it enables solutions that are not possible with some of the other technologies. One of the key benefits is that the wireless messaging protocol at the 900 megahertz level, which is the frequency for the US, 902 megahertz is the frequency that the EnOcean protocol uses to communicate. And the EnOcean protocol was optimized for power consumption. So they're very brief messages that can be transmitted using a very small amount of energy so that it can be powered from small photovoltaic cells or small energy harvesting modules with magnets and coils as is employed inside of the kinetic switches. And there's a variety of different sensors, including like leak detecting sensors, sensors that detect when inside of like mouse traps that can be deployed in commercial facilities. There's a sensor that can detect when the mouse enters the trap so that it can be serviced in a timely manner. And the technology behind this has worked really well and allowed just an incredible number of applications that you wouldn't even think of to operate without any batteries. And ILLUMRA is powering solutions for many of the companies in the Alliance. We've been involved in developing technical standards, and also we offer OEM development services, and we've been able to help custom develop specific solutions for some of the different players in the Alliance, and there's a lot of collaboration and so forth. So there's a lot of information on these slides. I'm just kind of speaking at a high level some of the different areas that we can do, but our solutions range from commercial and residential and into the heating and air conditioning, as well as lighting control. So I'd like to go to the next slide and talk a little bit about some of the applications. One of the large projects that we've worked on in the last few years is that ILLUMRA devices are powering all of the lights in the San Diego Convention Center. and a custom application was developed for them so that they can take an iPad and individually control any of the lights and set scenes for the duration of an expo that will happen in that space. And an advantage that we replaced a Zigbee-based lighting control system with an EnOcean-based lighting control system. And one of the advantages and distinct features that we brought to the solution that has been a lifesaver for them multiple times is that because of some of the flexibility that's available within the EnOcean protocol and the way that it interoperates at the technical level, is we were able to develop multiple levels of redundancy. And with the San Diego Convention Center, the ILLUMRA lighting control system offers 5 backup methods for controlling the lights in the event that something goes wrong. We were very adamant that we don't want to be the ones getting that call saying there's 100,000 people outside the San Diego Convention Center waiting for the conventions to start and they can't get the lights to turn on. That wasn't a phone call we were willing to take and sign up for. And so we leveraged all the features and flexibility available within the EnOcean protocol and the Alliance, partnering with Schneider to provide a piece of that solution and providing lighting controllers. And at the end of the day, that has paid off in spades for them because they have had situations happen. Like at the San Diego Convention Center, their entire Ethernet network went down for several weeks while during the time that different conventions were scheduled. And because of the redundancy that we were able to build into it, they were able to continue to maintain control over their lights. Can you move to the next slide? We were also able to provide lighting controls for an Olympic hockey arena in Provo, Utah, where the 2002 Olympics were, and providing multiple methods of control. Again, they can carry a wireless switch around, they can interface with the building automation system. They also have a manual slider. Different zones can be put together. It can do time-based events. There's a lot of capability there. Can you bring up the next slide, please? So some of the building blocks, we offer the kinetic powered switches and sensors. And the next slide. We also include a number of actuators, including line voltage relays, phase dimmers, PWM dimmers, 0 to 10 volt dimmers for lighting control, low voltage interfaces, and a number of hardware and software solutions. Can you bring up the next slide, please? And then the solar powered window door sensors and motion sensors, and there's a line voltage power sensor. One of the applications that is getting a lot of traction around the world is an HVAC interlock mode where a window door sensor can be attached to like a patio or a lanai door at, say, a condominium or a hotel. And when the door is ajar, the air conditioning is disabled during that time. It's been scientifically proven that it's less efficient to run the air conditioning with the windows and doors open. And so being able to enforce that and reduce the energy waste helps the entire ecosystem. The hotel, of course, spends less money. The guest is able to still be in control because if they want to have it kind of conditioned air, then they would just close up their windows and doors. And overall, it's friendly for the planet. And these are sensors and systems that will operate for a very long time. Because of our longevity in the market, we have thousands of switches that have been employed for over 15 years that are still operating perfectly and haven't required any maintenance over that time. Can you bring up the next slide, please? So we've got compatibility with different types of solutions as well. That's another advantage of the EnOcean product line and capability. And so at the highest level, we're able to bring together pieces from different vendors, partnering with different people in the EnOcean Alliance to create custom solutions and drive value for our customers. We're very adamant that all the solutions need to provide the benefit to the end user, be easy to install, and offer energy savings and earth-friendly benefits. Is there one more slide? So there's some of our contact information if anyone wants to reach out to us, and then I'm open for any questions if somebody would like to answer a specific question about the technology, the EnOcean Alliance.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed, Jan. I know it's very difficult in 15 minutes to give such a great overview and all the case studies. But yeah, and thank you everyone for taking the time to join us today. We do have like 5 or 6 minutes left for questions, and I see the questions are already coming in. Let me pull up the first one here. So what are your most popular SKUs? And where do you see the most potential moving forward? i.e., air quality, smart spaces?
Yeah, that's a great question. So currently, we sell a tremendous number, but another advantage of the EnOcean Alliance and ecosystem is that these solutions can span across a wide variety of applications. Many of our solutions are sold as simple standalone room-based solutions where there's a single switch working with one or two or multiple lighting controllers, and they can just operate in a standalone mode. And it provides the flexibility to also expand that system and introduce a gateway and be able to, say, network with backnet systems and other IP-based networking protocols. And so it can either operate at a very simple room level, so a motion sensor can operate also in that environment. And then through the gateway and connectivity options, that the information that's available and operating at a room level can be shared with higher level protocols and software levels. So say the lighting control system has the motion sensor. Well, that occupancy information that's already available can be shared with the heating and air conditioning system so that the heating and air conditioning system can maximize where it's directing the cooling power for a building, for example, or the heating power. There's a tremendous amount of systems that where we see a lot of traction coming up in the future is with the smart spaces, having a number of sensors operating in a building, being able to collect that data, being able to look at real estate utilization, see heat maps of buildings, which areas of a building. Of course, with the pandemic and the way that real estate usage has changed, so many people are working remotely, so the office spaces are being used differently, and it's important for the companies to be able to see how many people are coming, which areas of the buildings are being used, how can they renegotiate their leases to either decrease or just change the types of spaces that they need. And in order to make smart decisions in that space, they need that information. So being able to have the sensors help with that. Indoor air quality is another huge area for energy savings. When the building is less occupied, you don't need to change the air over as often inside the building, and you can be monitoring the carbon dioxide levels and make sure that the air is safe and clean and nice to breathe, but you don't need to run the fans and all the air conditioning equipment as much and consume all that energy with no benefit when there are fewer people or there's not a need, because you can actually measure with the sensors and the EnOcean protocol, you can exactly measure what the parameters are and control the building to that as needed.
Thank you, Jan. And maybe it's also worth mentioning for smart spaces where we're just collecting the data from a building, that it's now possible to collect this data also via the existing Wi-Fi network inside the building. So if you're not necessarily controlling your heating, air conditioning, lighting directly, but you're collecting data about occupancy, about energy uses, etc., which is an application for smart spaces or cleaning on demand, this data can be sent through the building, for example, through an Aruba Wi-Fi network these days. Good, thank you. We have a couple of more questions here. Here, nice one. So Jan, you mentioned the EnOcean standard. You also showed some Bluetooth products. You mentioned Zigbee, and there's a lot of other wireless standards these days. For example, LoRa, long range. Now we know they're all good. They all have their advantages and disadvantages. Would you like to say a few words about the advantages and disadvantages about the ones you use?
Yeah, so there's clearly a lot of competing wireless standards out there. And of course, there's always engineering trade-offs between individual standards and so forth. As I mentioned, the EnOcean ecosystem has always been able to focus on really low power so that it's operated with sensors and switches that don't require batteries. And that's fantastic. And that technology has been able to be pushed into the Bluetooth space. So now we're able to offer Bluetooth and Zigbee-based switches that also don't require batteries and sensors. Some of them at the high level, the trade-offs are the transmitting distance, the interference. Of course, Bluetooth and Zigbee are operating at 2.4 gigahertz, which is overlapping with some of the Wi-Fi bands, and there can be concerns of whether the communication will be reliable. A lot of that is addressed, and there's a certain amount of reliability, but the 900 megahertz frequency for EnOcean is specifically the lower frequency allows it to transmit at much greater distances. So in applications where there's not as many access points or gateways and you want communication over longer distances, EnOcean is well suited for that. And and then just the alliance and the availability of different solutions and sensors and the ability to partner between the companies is also fantastic.
Yeah, I think we should say fairly that if you're looking for a worldwide solution, obviously 2.4 gigahertz has its advantages because it's a worldwide frequency. If you're using just one frequency in one country or one continent, then the sub 1 gigahertz has major advantages, as you said, in range, in interoperability, in less interference. So there's no one wireless standard fits all. They're all good for something, and I think it's really depending on what your product is and what your application is. Is that a fair answer, Jan?
That's a very fair answer. And so specifically, you do need to look at the details of what does the application require, and we're happy to work with whoever might have those kinds of questions and be very transparent about the pros and cons of different solutions.
We have one last question here. The other questions we'll have to answer in writing afterwards. Where can we meet you at exhibitions, for example, and how was Lightfair?
Yeah, so we were in Las Vegas just a couple of weeks ago for Lightfair. The response was incredible. The booth was busier than we expected. The number of attendees were smaller than previous expos, Lightfair expos, but the quality of the leads were fantastic, and we just had nonstop traffic, and it was very busy. We've already had a number of good-sized orders coming from that, so that's fantastic. And Education is probably the next show that we're going to be at, so we're happy to meet up with the different Alliance members or answer any questions, but we appreciate the support that we get from the EnOcean Alliance and are proud to be a part of this movement and being able to create Earth-friendly solutions.
Great, and we hope to see you also at the ASHRAE show in Atlanta, start of next year.
Of course, yes, that slipped my mind, but yeah, we'll be there.
Yeah, but then just one point you said I wanted to pick up on. Yes, we're starting to do a lot of events again, and yes, the quantities are down, but the quality is excellent. So I think that's one good thing that's come out of COVID, that the people coming to the exhibitions are much higher quality these days. Anyway, so we're perfect timing here. It's 1 minute to go. So thank you very much, Jan. Thank you very much, Robert. Thank you to everyone who attended. The presentation will be sent to everybody and the recording will be put online. And if you have any further questions or comments, please feel free to contact us at any time. Thank you very much indeed. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye now.